All right, Carrie.
I'm going to be a little shorter.
Okay.
So,
What page is that on, Mary Ann, in the, that we can
A lot of
refer?
pages.
Page 90 in board book?
I don't think you really need to follow along. I think you can listen to me and we'll talk
Okay.
about it, and you don't necessarily need to. The total we're showing right here is $6.188, $760 million, right? So that's a lot different than the numbers we've been talking about. And the reason that is because we've added a few things to consider tonight. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to move forward with this. The state allows for energy conservation items and security issues and things like that. So the facility committee asked that we take advantage and take a look and have some discussion about a few line items. So the bulk of this is just leftover life safety items from your 10-year survey, the ones that haven't been completed over the course of the last several years, right? So there's a list of about 60 line items here. And the majority of those line items are fire issues, ceiling penetrations above ceilings, door replacement, operating doors, making sure that they're working, installing handrails, pavers uneven, those types of things, bleacher replacement, things that you've done in the past. So all of that, those are all of those line items. The things that we've added this time around for your consideration, for discussion tonight, and this is just a draft, it hasn't been submitted anywhere, even to your district yet. This is just for discussion purposes. We were asked to include the lighting at the pool because there has been some corrosion on the fixtures that has caused some fixtures to dislodge, but that's all been tied back. But we thought we could include that as an energy conservation measure as well as a safety measure because they are metal halide and we could switch those to LED, which is something that you don't have to maintain quite as often, right? And less replacement of bulbs and so forth. So that line item is on here. Then there is also a line item for the mechanical unit that is up on the pool area, right? Because that unit is working very hard and the life expectancy of that is probably a lot lower than it should be based upon all of the work that you've had to do over the course of several years on it. So we've included that replacement of that unit on there for your consideration as well. Then the LED replacement of the T8 fixtures, which are these types of fixtures, throughout the building, and switching it to LED lighting. Again, an energy conservation measure. Those are all options for you to discuss. But as Dr. Skinkis has already stated, pretty much even if you just omitted the LED fixtures for the rest of the building, classrooms and so forth, that would leave you with roughly about $2 million. Oh, also on this list is some remediation for flooding in the basement. There's some seepage, and we're going to put some backflow preventers on it, but that was on your original life safety. What we did do was back down that dollar amount a little bit because we've already corrected some of those issues with the work that we've done across the street, believe it or not. So it's helped a great deal with what we've had on your existing building, even though we didn't really touch anything over here related to that. So,
can you expand on how that has helped?
Sure. Gosh, I mean, we've created a very large storage unit below grade for stormwater with restrictors and a ton of other precautions, pumps and so forth, that has taken that off of the streets in conjunction with work that has been done in the streets from the local jurisdiction. And together, those have really alleviated some of the issues that you've had in your building, which I can only imagine has alleviated some of the flooding that's happened in the neighborhood.
So in other words, the flooding from over there actually seeped over here and actually caused this building.
Right. I mean,
Okay.
it was backing up actually into the building for the most part. And
Well, that's wonderful. We get something for that extra space.
If the district, if the board will look at page 101 in board book, it's looks like an Excel spreadsheet.
Keep going.
Item number 6 is to replace the existing pool lights with LED fixtures. It's roughly 180. And then if the board scrolls to page 104, These are the two big items, which is $550 for rooftop unit, and then $3.5 million, which is an outrageous number for just replacing every light fixture that we haven't already replaced to an LED. Now, Carrie was also gonna check on to see if there's some Department of Energy refunding that will help this off.
And there is some grant money associated with that, so that the district can take advantage of.
And the other
But that
thing,
application-
Can we get an estimate of what kind of savings?
That's something that the district needs to engage in. It's a.
Somebody else.
Right.
well, we
and
hired a consultant last time when we did the gyms and we did the field house and we did all that.
But is there kind of isn't there kind of
No, it
a
depends.
mathematical thing that says if
No,
you got X number of square footage and you got X number of spacing on it, switch them to LEDs, you get an X
No, this
amount of
money,
energy?
is, kind of ebbs and flows, and it's run out before, and so there's no
No, I'm not
guarantees.
asking about the
Maybe
money,
it's
but I'm
savings
asking
on
about the
electric
savings.
bills.
Oh.
Like, is it a dollar a light or,
On the
you know,
electric.
like
You know, I mean,
Yeah,
is
so
there
there's
based on
there's a
the-
mathematical equation
Yeah,
certainly
I'm
for
sure there
that,
is.
and it depends on the age of your fixtures. So, your fixtures here in some of the areas are not as old as others. If we were moving from a 20 or 30-year-old fixture to an LED, there'd be a much greater savings.
Right. But
Such
if we're
as in
con-
the pool area, I think those fixtures are, in some areas, are a little bit older. But if you were, these are on a longer payback period, so.
We were
It's-
also checking on you were gonna look at the bulbs.
Exactly, so.
Seeing if we submit maybe just the bulbs, and if we just by going around and changing everything to LED
Right.
bulbs.
Right, now, you're currently, Joel has been replacing bulbs and ballasts with LEDs. And he's been doing that in certain areas, the higher ceiling areas of your facility. So we looked at that with our engineers, and so they're making some recommendations for that, which would be a much more economical solution. And then they were gonna run some paybacks for that, but I just got that information a couple days ago.
So when we did the pools, we did not redo the lights in the pool?
They did the lights, but when they did the pool in '06, they still use incandescent. And
So
the amount of
unfortunately-
wattage- The amount
unfortunately,
of
when they-
wattage we're using is crazy.
So when they did the pool, they didn't do proper lighting because of rusting and because they didn't do the air handling correctly, the life of this air handling has been shortened. no?
Yes. In a long, it's working fine now, but
It is working.
my first 5 years of my superintendency, I was a pool expert, not a pool expert, I was dealing with pool issues. And we finally have that all resolved, but we changed the motor, we changed the fan belts, we changed circuit boards multiple times because we had an undersized unit doing the entire pool.
That wasn't installed.
That wasn't, So the bigger issue though is if you think about the 180 and the 550, that still makes it into that 2 million that we're talking about with life safety.
The other fourth biggest item is on 102, at 42, it's the $200,000 for the back pressure.
Which was on our life safety report.
Yeah.
The reason I'm highlighting these three, the 180 to 550, is their additions.
But they didn't know it was on our life safety.
Right, I was trying to recap everything
Recap.
for.
I don't see a dry erase marker on that whiteboard. I'm the type of guy that's a visual learner, but the reason I'm bringing this up to the board is the 180 and the 550, if we submitted that as life 50, or life safety, and we go for the 2 million in that, the example of doing that working cash, other capital, that's an example of, hey, we find out that we can save this money and do all these LEDs, although the state may now approve it as a life safety amendment. You could apply that working cash money to go out and save us not only on our electric bills, but then do all the LED bulbs. There's a possibility the state may come and say, hey, we're not doing 3.5 million just for you to upgrade your lighting. But if we found a cheaper way to do it and had some money for that working cash capital, we can say, hey, well, let's go out and buy all the LED bulbs without using the district reserves, and not only will we get a return, we'll get some DCEO money, but we would also get a reduction on our energy bill.
The $3.5 million, is this to replace every fixture in this building
Yes,
that are only 10 years old?
that is not LED.
That is not LED.
Because you have done some replacements already,
Right.
like I said, Joel has been working to do that.
Right.
And the wattage is half. It's half the energy, but it depends on how much you run each space each day, right? That's how you calculate the energy savings. So it's not just, okay, yes, it uses less energy. You have to consider how long you use it.
And the idea would do this
throughout the year.
mostly in the classrooms, at the classrooms at home.
Right.
Because we've done most of the new athletic area. We did well, obviously not the pool, but we did the gym, we did the field house.
Mhm.
We put sensors in there with,
Yes,
so
this
that,
includes like a dimmable system, so there's a lot that would.
Oh, it's so like automatic
Yes.
switches and all
Right,
that kind of
right.
stuff?
So
Yes.
if nobody's in here for 10 minutes, the lights go off.
so there's some of this, I mean, this is probably the high end at 3.5.
Correct.
But the problem is, if we put it in and it's approved, then we have to spend
Then you
the
have to
bonds
do-
on that.
And
And
would
if it
be-
only costs $3 million,
That's right.
then we have
It's your option.
500,000 of life safety,
Mhm.
but we could spend on a new life safety project came up over the next period of time, right?
Yes.
How long do we have to spend it, Liz?
3 years from the time you issue.
Okay.
But that's the working cash.
What about
That's
life
life
safety?
Life
Safety
safety
too.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, life safety as well.
You said there is some grant money for the lights. Just wait on that.
It's not necessarily grant money. The way we did it was you do the work and then you're reimbursed for a portion of the work. And then you start to see savings in your electric bill, which kind of offsets, so you're looking for payback. You're the energy expert, but I think that's how we did it in the past when we did the gym and the pool and that stuff, right?
Yeah, we've never gotten grants to pay for.
Yeah, it's not a
the whole thing.
grant. What happens is you.
We got some money from
We got
replacing lights.
Right, we got
Yeah, after we
DCEO
did it.
money, but
And
you have to
didn't
front,
pay for all of
you
it.
front the work.
Right, you pay it. and
Then you got
money's
reimbursed
right.
some money, and then your energy bill was lower the next 3 years and offset the project, and anything after that was this
Right.
savings. So, I do kind of have a recommendation on this, and this is where I need your help, Gary. I think with the lighting, we either remove it, or we make it a significant or less amount, maybe just figure out from your consultants, at least like what the bulbs are.
But you can't, replacing the bulb is not a capital project.
I don't know
If that would
if
be
the state
approved.
is going to approve that. Well, we can do some research with it, but that's, another option for you to do as a capital. It is, I would assume that is a capital improvement project. I don't necessarily know if it's a life safety, energy conservation project that they'll recognize. I need to check. I believe it would be, because it's energy conservation is a line item that is approvable out of the life safety.
Okay.
Didn't Joel kind of take the lead the last time we had a major part of the building replaced with the LCDs? I thought he.
Yes,
had,
Joel and I met with a consultant. We brought the recommendation to the board. A consultant did all of our paperwork. And there were some companies, when the DCEO money was first out there big, there were electrician companies that were out there, and that way would do all your paperwork and do your DCEO refunds, and then, they would get a portion of your savings for doing all that legwork. But this is much bigger. You're talking about replacing the lights throughout the building, every single classroom, in every hallway, every bathroom, every locker room.
And switches.
And some switches and some ballast
I mean,
fixtures.
I would think that this doesn't go under life safety. We understand it's a $3.5 million commitment. We get an estimate of what we think the annual savings will be, and we then make a sound decision whether we want to invest in redoing all these and see what our return on investment is going to be down the road. But we don't have to commit to it under life safety.
That's what
And then we can see that return on investment may be bigger or smaller based on grants that we eventually potentially can get.
That's where I'm asking Karen, I don't think we should submit this to the state, right? I don't think we have enough information to say, let's try to commit. What if the state came back and said, yeah, you're approved for 3.5, you know what I mean? Then we eat up the 5 million we were talking about without even vetting this more.
And then we don't know what our return will be.
Right.
Annual return.
But I
You can
do think
always-
the smart thing is the pool lights and the rooftop are two smart
Right.
items.
I agree with
Because we service that rooftop unit a lot.
that. Yes, we do.
And we've done everything to make sure it works, but what we don't, it's like running your car with the pedal to the metal for the last 8 years, 11 years.
Yeah, and as a parent of a swimmer, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive my kid to OPRF was not fun. So,
And so, I mean, we don't have any issues right now, knock on wood, in that pool. But in a year or two, if that broke or we need to start addressing that, that's a definite air quality, life safety issue.
I like Gary's suggestion on the lights. If, you know, we need to make a determination whether there's a savings in the school district to do that for such a big dollar amount. What do you think about it?
And you can pick and choose areas too. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to do,
You could do
it's
it
not
over
all or
time.
You
nothing.
could phase this in over 5 years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like the boardroom, so the lights get dim and take us out.
Okay, can I ask a question? I've sort of lost my train here on this 2 million. Do we have 2 million already budgeted in life safety, and that's what these bonds would go for? Or is
It's
this,
off of this list.
2 million is on this,
2 million's on that list, but out
out
of
of
that,
6 million?
6 million's on that list. If you take off the 3.5
Then it's 2.5.
and you take off the 500,000 for the pool unit,
Yeah, we're not.
which we're not
suggesting.
recommending, but the pool unit was not on the original life safety report.
Okay.
So it'd be 2.7 if we take off.
That's why Carrie
3.5.
identified the 3 big items that she had added on
Correct.
to the
I'll
original.
let Carrie.
Yeah, actually, the subtotal is 5.157,
Right.
and then we add, the 20% for, 10% for fees, and then 10% for contingency, so you would actually back that out as well. So really, it's more of, it would be like a 2.1, right, total, if you just took out the 3.5. Does that make
Right.
sense?
And so my recommendation is we leave the pool rooftop unit and the pool lighting. Everything else was already identified in our life safety, and we roughly look at the 2 million for the state to approve that.
And there's no guarantee that all of these items are going to be approved.
Right.
In fact, they're most likely going to deny something. I just don't know which one.
Well, they haven't denied anything yet.
Yeah, they had.
Yes, they have.
And they reduced some of them too.
And they, yes, and they reduced the dollar amount as
So
well.
if they approve 2.6 million, we only have 2 million in working and 2 million in working cash, can we take part of that 3 million
Well,
to apply to the 0.6 or not?
if we take the 3.5 out, what Kerry was saying, John, is there's another 20% because of the 2 loadings. So that's another 700,000. So that 3.5 converts to 4.2 out of the 6.2. That's how they came with the 2 million.
So we're roughly at 2 million.
Right at 2 million if we take the lights out.
Okay, so
But
there's no-
getting to John's question, if there is a differential between life safety expenditures going over the life safety bonds, if we go with the 3 million, can we, as long as this excess is capital related, can we use some of that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's got to be life safety related if it's life safety bonds, right?
It's
That's the
It's capital.
It's capital, so you can.
That's restriction. You can use,
So if
your
the
life
state-
safety's got to go
Sure.
100% against life safety,
Money.
but if we go with the additional 3 million and we have some excess life safety expenditures, we can bring that money over if it's capital in
If
nature.
the
and
state
life
comes
safety
back and
typically is
says, listen,
capital.
your rooftop unit's not broken right now, we're not approving you to bond that. And 2 years from now, that broke, we can tap into that working cash if we borrow that. Because that's a major capital need. That's why I said it gives us some flexibility.
So 2 million seems reasonable. Yeah.
So what I'm asking the board, my recommendation to the board tonight was that we approve the amendment of the roughly the 2 million, take out the 3.5, let Carrie begin the process of submitting it to the state, because that could take 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
Now, we're hoping because it's already August and most schools are already into their projects, the state should be a little slower now where they can review this and approve it so that we can go off for our life safety bonds in September, October with the schedule that Liz roughly laid out in front of you tonight.
So just turning to the schedule incorporates both the life safety and working cash, but that's just so you know what the roadmap would be. Tonight, we're obviously discussing the refunding, the new money, life safety and working cash options, and the life safety amendments. And so now, if you approve those, Carrie will submit those for approval. Between now and August 8th, my thought is do you have more conversation about the 3 million? What would we use it for? Capital, tax exempt? Do we feel we need a cushion? You can do part taxable, part tax exempt, some, none. Get an idea, you know, Dr. Skinkis was talking about some of the different options for that, but hopefully you would have a decision by the August 8th meeting where we would review the projects again, and if you determine to move forward with some or any working cash, it would be at that meeting we would recommend approving the resolution of intent to issue working cash fund bonds. Then we would publish the notice of that intent in the newspaper along with the notice of public hearing, because you'd have to have a public hearing on both the working cash and the life safety, which would happen at your September 12th meeting. The petition period for the working cash would end September 15th, and then you would be looking at approving the resolution to issue the refunding, life safety, and working cash bonds as you determine at your committee of the whole meeting on September 26th. That allows us to get into the market as soon as we can within that 90-day window for the refunding. It would allow us to issue all those bonds at the same time, which is going to save cost of issuance, more efficient, and then close at the end of October. So that's when you get the bond proceeds.
And that's within the 90 days of the call.
It is, exactly.
And if we get postponed a month or two, how's that going to affect things?
You know, my only worry is the closer we get to December, the market gets crowded, and we have the anticipation of the Fed rate increase in December. So, you know, otherwise there's no penalty for letting it slip other than the market risk.
What's the differential in interest rates between taxable and tax exempt?
That's a good question. So, if we did the 3 million on a taxable basis, looking at option 3A, where the tax exempt is 2.84, the taxable is 3.08%.
It's about 20.
About 25 basis points. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a difference.
It's not that big of a difference. If we're looking at the shorter option,
The taxable means it's taxable to the people that are buying the bonds up.
that's exactly right.
Right.
So it's
we
no
could- but
difference
we-
to the
but we-
taxpayer, but it gives us flexibility
Ability to
to use
use it in any fund.
any fund.
Yeah. So on the shorter 7-year payback, or it would be 6-year payback for the working cash, 2.16 on the tax exempt, 2.61
Oh, there's
for
a
the
much bigger
taxable.
difference there.
On the
So
shorter payback.
the shorter end, I think, is a
Yeah.
little higher
Aggressive.
right now
Okay.
in terms of the differential, but lower than the longer rates. So there is a differential, but it's not market. It's not outrageous, and you know, if you need that flexibility, it's certainly
Could you
still low interest rates.
Get us a sheet with the taxable one on it, that we can have a 3AA or whatever we want to call it, 3AT,
3C.
or whatever we want to call it,
Sure.
so that
Why
it
don't you-
gets in the back of our heads so people will know the differential.
I'm thinking we might need Liz back in August, right?
Because that's what we would need to, well, if we vote today, but in August, we need to decide about the life safety then, right?
Reverse.
we have to decide.
Today we vote on the
Today.
life safety, which I think the
And
board.
then
And I think
bonds
we're
on
going to have
one
several
side, yeah.
discussions on what we want to do from a standpoint of 2 million only, 2, 3, or and we do 3, do we want to break it up into tax, non-tax? So we're going to have a hardy discussion. Right?
Yeah, and.
But we still don't have to,
Yeah.
we would have to make a decision in August, at the
Right,
August
right,
8th
right,
meeting,
right.
to then start the petition window and the
Yeah.
hearing window.
Exactly, yeah, understood.
Right. So we do the 2 million life safe tonight, send Carrie home much later than I thought,
My fault.
and then we have Liz come back in August, prior to you coming back in August, send me those sheets so I can get them out to the board. They'll have time to think on it, maybe talk with neighbors.
So Lynn, I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself. It'd be useful to have, to me at least, an extra page where you go from like total interest costs and how you divvy that up into per household. So from
Impact on the $300,000
and maybe
home.
PV it. So in other words, for the average household, whatever, I want to know the total excess interest cost, say this for the second option, and then how you make that calculation to per household.
Well, she
Just
did it
one-
in the chart, Jeff.
Yeah, but I didn't see the total number.
Well, she has them in the 3A, she's got both the life safety and working cash total impact,
On the very last column.
all the way to the right.
This is the effect on the $300,000.
No, but I know that, but I want to know where I want to know
So
the
it-
steps from like, okay, this one costs an extra $1 million in interest. Okay, how does that divvy up into?
So take like, for example, in option 3A, where the longer payback on the life safety, and put that impact on the home too, the life safety and working cash.
Well,
I thought
I'm
you
having
did
a hard
that.
time following the total cost of this thing, PV'd, and how that affects each individual homeowner. Because all I'm getting is, well, it saves them,
And looking at the
whatever,
net
$30.
impact,
But
yeah.
I want the transparency on the calculation. That would help me.
Isn't that
So,
the column, though, the impact on a home, so in 1 year it went up $4, the next year it went $217.
You want to see the gross
I want to see
increase
the
in
total number
in
and
the
then how it's divvied up.
interest.
Yes, the
so like
interest.
What's on here, isn't it?
the impact from the life safety bonds and the impact from the savings on the referendum bonds separately?
What he's asking you to do is, if you go to page 12 of your report, on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th column over, John, his total is 12,000,005. That would be the new interest we would pay. And then if you go 1, 2, 3, 4 more columns over, it's what it is now, and the difference. You add the 12,500 and the 43,900, you get to the 56,471.
Break that into principal and interest?
That's what but you want that broken down differently. That's
So it's
what you asked for, but are you looking for something different than that?
3.6 for the 3 million, it's 2.8 for the life safety, and then 12 for the refunding.
Well, look, there's a footnote here. Option 3B has less interest costs, greater than 1 million versus option 3A because of the shorter payback period.
Right.
So what are the total interest costs in each one? And how do you divvy that up for each household? I'm sure your Excel already does this, but it's not, to me, it's not transparent here. I mean,
Because the impact on the taxpayer includes both the principal and the interest.
Based on how you're amortizing it, you
Well,
you
see, I
choose
want-
your
I
levy
want-
of
If you
that.
just, look, I don't do what you do every day, you don't do what I do, but I just want something simpler that I'm a smart guy. I can't understand this. I'm just saying I need some help.
I'm
And
here
if
to-
I can't understand it, a lot of people can't understand it.
We agree, John, and
Yeah.
Right,
you're just
but
not
it's-
clear what you want, because
Well, I
what you
think-
actually,
Yeah, I'm
the
not
question
being.
seems like it's in here, that's what we're looking, what you want different.
It may be in here,
Yeah.
but it's hard for me
Maybe it's gotta
to
be
decipher
labeled,
it.
maybe it's gotta be labeled a
Maybe
different.
You need to, show this to more of a novice and say, okay, I want to be able to understand these columns.
So
I
John,
mean,
So
the
is
input's here.
is potentially a difference, the column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, column 9,
What's the heading on it?
and
Referendum current,
current
UL.
versus the total proposed, that is truly your differential that you have to levy for, right? If you took the difference between the two, your new tax rate would be the difference to fund that, right, on an annual basis, is that correct?
the tax rate has to fund that total proposed
Difference
debt.
between the, so on 2017, we're going now to 5.7, where we would have been at 4.2, correct? Which is the referendum current? Is that my
We're doing it at
understanding correct?
3.9.
Yeah, so what I
3.9.
tried to do on this
No,
chart
but
is
that's
split
with
the
the
two
savings,
types.
if we refund.
Yeah.
So
So,
if we did nothing, we'd still be at 4.2 doing this. With the
Yes.
savings, we're at 5.7.
Correct.
But John, you're looking
With the
for-
cost of being an additional .07 tax increase to, right?
But to
to
the
fund that
average
difference.
taxpayer, they don't know how much, you're looking for how much more money is the average household gonna pay, right?
Well, no, I think she's got
Yeah,
that.
she's got that down.
I want to know how, a more simplified presentation of like the total look at the difference between these alternatives. You can break it up to interest and whatever, and then how it feeds into that.
so
I
maybe
mean,
a
there's-
summary page
You've
would
got some
help.
formula in Excel that's already doing this, and it's not
Yeah.
transparent to me.
Okay.
You
A
skip
summary
some
page,
steps.
John, that would break down all the options of what you're saying?
So principal interest in each option on a summary page, so you can see side by side how they compare to each other?
Yeah, I mean, the different, the
Interest
difference.
rate, principal interest,
Yes.
savings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how much we are.
So someone
how
could
much-
look at one page and say, well, they should
Yes.
just do option 3C, and that's a no-brainer.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
Do you understand
I'll
what he
work on
wants?
You,
I'll work
If you
on it and we'll.
give me a
we'll work
draft, I
with
could send it out in a
Dr.
week or so in a
Skinkis, and
Friday
you guys can give me
update.
some feedback and we'll
Right.
get.
look, you've got Gary and Tim here have to translate what I'm trying to think. So you got three bright people here, and, we have to understand this completely.
Okay, so what we're going to approve is Carrie going forward
With the amendment.
with the amendment that says these are the items that have been identified in life safety, but now we have to go to the state for the state to approve us to categorize them as a life safety expenditure.
But we're
Is
gonna-
that fair to say?
Except we're going to take out the $3.5 million for
Right.
lights.
Right, right.
So
right.
well, I think the resolution just calls for the board to approve
Life safety
Life
amendment is
safety, 22.
presented, discussed, we'll have to say and amended.
presented, discussed,
So,
and
so
amended.
so to be clear, we're not going in and approving, going out and and creating debt today, right? All we're doing is we're going and starting the process.
No,
that-
but if we submit
But
it
we
and
submit
they
it, but
approve
that-
it, we have to issue. the-
Right,
We have
but I
to issue
mean-
the bond, so yes,
Right.
we're approving life safety debt today.
Yeah.
Today is life safety debt.
And
Do
the
we have to-
maximum
do we
is
have
going
to
to
do
be
that?
around $2 million.
Or can we take it out of funds?
Once
No.
you submit, that's why I asked that question about an hour ago. I
Right.
said,
Well, how you pay for it, it's up to you.
Right, see?
Oh, okay.
well, but that's what I asked that question. If, once you
said-
submit
I
this
thought
to
you
the
said
state.
You have to do it.
No.
You have to do it. And yes, you have to do it.
Right, but what I'm saying to you is, our backup plan here is you start this amendment process with the state. If we come back in August and said, it makes a lot more sense to just do all working cash, we're not
I still
required
have
to do life
amend
safety.
this. I still have to amend it and send it in and say, well, you're not using that cash.
We're not using life safety
Right,
bonds, but we're
right.
gonna do the work with other funds.
Yes.
But that shouldn't take any kind of, like, they can't deny us to use life
No,
safety.
they're not denying it, but,
Right.
the approval.
Well, but
time
what
on
I'm
it, I
saying is it
don't
gets
know.
two stones moving at one time. Gets you moving the amendment process forward with the state, while we hem and haw over whether or not it's working cash or life safety. Right?
Yes.
Liz comes back with all her summary options in August, it still makes sense to do a life safety bonds.
It's done.
Once the state approves it, we issue the life safety bonds. Correct? We have the time it takes for the state to approve the amendment to figure out whether we want to use life safety bonds or all working cash or half and half or third and third.
Or none at all.
Or none at all.
There's always option two.
Right. Which is,
You're just funding the life safety.
Right, just
Right.
the
Extra
two.
2
only.
million.
Correct.
Just the 2 million.
Correct.
only, Right. And that's a discussion we'll have.
but we should get her rolling on the amendment with the state.
So everybody agree?
Everybody okay with that?
And be clear, I mean, you did a 10-year study several years ago. These are things that were identified. Since we're aware, of it, we have to address these.
With the exception of the line items
Right.
we just discussed.
Right, the lights.
Correct.
That's, when I'm saying that now, with the lights already been thrown away.
Yes.
But we have to address it sometime in this 10-year timeframe.
Yes, it is your responsibility.
Yes.
2022, right? We have
Yes.
2022.
2022 or 2023, I thought it was, but yes, it was done in 13.
All right.
So the only line items that were not on that 10-year life safety report were the 180 for the pool lights.
Which we're adding, right. those two
500
items.
for the rooftop.
And we have
We
the
do
flexibility of 3 years to actually
Get that done.
get that done. 5 years. Thank
3
you.
years if we, to
5
spend
years
the
for the
money
life
if we use the
safety,
bonds.
Three
what the
years.
bonds are is a different
Yeah,
story.
right. All right, 5 years.
Resolve
that
the Board of
idea.
Education Township High School District 2A, Cook County, Illinois hereby approves Life Safety Amendment 22 as presented, discussed, and amended in the July 11, 2017 Board Agenda Packet.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Call, Marion?
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Towner?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're good with both our
I think we
results.
beat them enough, didn't we?
Sorry, guys, thought they would've went a little quick.
81-20-22.
All right, it's time for any updates on
Visitor
consolidation.
no
No, we haven't done anything. All right, visitor statements. Do we have anyone on my left side, this side? Anyone on this side for visitor statements? No visitor statements? I will not read that. Any additional discussion items that the board may want to bring up? Look to my right, look to my left. No?